Recording in
Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. I did get on.
How's everybody doing?
Doing
Good.
good. How are you?
Good. Glad to have y'all.
I'm back in Gainesville.
I think I don't know if it's I think maybe Charlene, you got some background noise, so you need to mute your yeah, sounds like good job. Good to see everybody. Want to get started and share something with you today that I've thought about, but I haven't thought about it quite like this. And it came to my attention this weekend when I saw someone, an expert in this area, talking about it. And it's important and it's concerning. And because of the topic, I'm going to do Facebook Live as well, so others can see it on that platform. So I'll get that started and then we'll get started. But I'm so glad to have you here today. Okay, I think we're live on everywhere we need to be live on. Today, I want to talk about a crisis that we're having, and I think it's worldwide, but it's definitely in our culture, and it was made worse by and intensified by the global pandemic, but it was a crisis long before that, and that is the crises of connection. And I want you to think about how connected you are and what your level of satisfaction is with your connection to friends and family and loved ones. And, how connected do you feel? We are social creatures. And that goes for someone like myself, who is not only an introvert, but very much not a joiner and an individual. I still need social connection. I need connection with others. I need connection with friends and family and loved ones. And the quality of my life is directly related to that connection. We need connection that goes even beyond social connection. We need to be connected to ourselves. And that may sound like a funny thing to say, but a connection to ourselves is sort of the foundation for every other connection we can have. And then I think we need a spiritual connection, a connection that has us connected to that which is beyond us, bigger than us. And you can see this in a lot of ways. Using the word spiritual probably puts some people off. And so if you don't like that word, you can talk about being connected to a cause, to some important issue or cause that gets us out of purely personal and selfish concerns. And we can extend ourselves on the behalf of others, on the behalf of a worthy cause. we need connection in all of these ways. I want to recommend a book. I didn't plan on this, so I don't have it handy. It's somewhere in my library, but one of my favorite public intellectuals at this time, and has been for a while, is David Brooks. And he wrote a book called The Social Animal. I think that's what it's called. Social Animals, definitely is part of the title. Highly recommend that when we're talking about these issues of how social we really are and need to be. And as much as this is a crisis for all of us, absolutely all of us, this is an epidemic and a huge crisis, particularly for young adolescent boys, for our young men who are, trying to get from adolescence to adulthood. There's an increasing sense of loneliness, of isolation, and we see it leading to violence. We see it leading to mass shootings. We see it leading to disaffectedness and disassociation, a non-connection with others. And the damage that people do to others is largely related to how disconnected, unconnected they feel towards that person. If that other is actually an other, is less than, is other than, then violence, aggression, toxic selfishness will cause a lot of pain and a lot of damage. So this is an epidemic that we're seeing with everyone, but especially with young men. And we'll get into why and talk about some of the issues related to that. Men in general have a much more difficult time connecting. I've noticed at the many book clubs I've spoken to over the years, at the many conferences, at the many spiritual gatherings, self-help programs I've done, you always have so many more women show up than men. And women have, I think part of it is cultural. Men, especially in the West, especially in our culture, but I think it's pervasive worldwide, are told to be an individual, or told to not be needy, to not need anything, to stand on your own, to not, in other words, not connect. We'll get into more of that in a minute. But I want to start by saying that the irony of me talking about connection on Zoom and on Facebook is not lost on me. And we are connecting in a certain way. I feel like I'm connecting with you, especially those of you on Zoom who get to respond, and I get to see you, and you get to share your thoughts and ideas and feelings as we go along. But it is not the same as if we were together. Now, as I look at those of you on Zoom, some of you are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles away, maybe thousands, I don't know. Some of you are, I would think the closest person is probably 30 miles away, or 20 something miles away. So us actually getting together is problematic, is difficult. And we may not be connecting in any other way if we didn't have Zoom or if we didn't have Facebook. But this shouldn't be the totality of the connection we have. And we went through a time with the global pandemic and the coronavirus that it was a necessity. We had to, if we were going to connect at all and be mindful of and careful of those who were most vulnerable to this disease, the elderly, the infirmed, the compromised, that we had to do it this way. But now that we have a better handle on the virus, now that things are better and the power of the virus is not what it was. It's more contagious now, but less powerful, and that's just what they do. We still have to be mindful of and protect those who are vulnerable, but we can get together. We can have connection. So I want to encourage all of you today that, I think this is great. Obviously, I'm the one doing this, right? So I believe in this. I like connecting with you in this way and sharing some thoughts and ideas. And I feel like our time is well spent here. And I feel like this is better than a lot of other things we can be doing. And it's certainly better than not doing anything. But this should not replace connection that is in person. So I just want to start by saying that. The next thing I want to say is I would just want to ask you to reflect. I mentioned this earlier, but to reflect on how connected do you feel? When you think about, if I say, hey, how connected are you? How satisfied are you with your friendships? How connected, how satisfied are you with a significant other? Maybe you don't have a significant other, or maybe you do. And whichever way, if you don't have one, are you feeling a need? Are you looking? Are you wanting that? If you do have one, how connected are you? What's the quality of the relationship? And the quality of the relationship is going to come down to how connected you feel. With friends, a lot of people feel like they don't have enough friends. They would like more friends, and they would like better quality friendships. And a lot of people feel like they just don't even know how to begin to find more friends, to get more friends. That's part of what I want to talk to you about today. If I ask you, how connected do you feel to a cause? Are you working in any arena that allows you to use your gifts, your abilities to make the world a better place in some way? Are you working to do, to help others, to give relief, to alleviate suffering, to be a light, to be a support? Are you connected in those ways? Socially, are you doing social activities? And if you're not, unless you are not able to physically, or because of issues related to, say, your immune system, and you have to be extra careful. But if you're able to be social, why aren't you being more social? And is screen time replacing actual good social interaction? Is our busyness, or I've said on these discussions, I've said this over and over and over and over again, because I believe it, and I think it's fundamental to everything we talk about, and that is practice. We get good at what we practice, and if you or I practice isolationism, guess what's going to happen? We're going to get good at it. If we practice going it alone, a rugged, extreme form of individualism, then of course we're going to be less connected than we would otherwise be. So where are you in terms of this? Now, in addition to you just thinking about how connected you are and how connected you are to friends and family and loved ones and social and spiritual connections, if you are great, and let's say you are well connected and you feel good about where you are, this is an important topic, because I bet you there are people, let's say especially young people, but all age people, who are not as connected as you are, and who need you to connect with them, who would benefit from you reaching out, from you being available and connecting. I think about some of the activities I do, and sometimes I try to connect and I try to help people. There's There's a note on my refrigerator that I printed out, and it just says, how can I help this person? And it's a reminder to me to ask that every time I encounter someone. And most of the time I don't. Most of the time I'm not, I'm thinking about something else. And a lot of times I'm thinking about a song I'm writing, or the plot of my next novel, or what I'm working on, or concerns about my children, or all the other things that sort of crowd in. But if I could start every interaction with that question, how can I help this person? I would be a better person, and I would be doing more good in the world. I was thinking about certain activities I do. I bring a lot of focus to. And sometimes that focus on what I'm doing prevents me from seeing needs, from being open to the needs of others, because I'm so intent on the activity I'm actually doing. And there's obviously a place for focus, and we need to be able to focus, and we need to be able to accomplish things and do things in that manner, sometimes even with hyper focus. But we should never allow that to prevent us from connecting with others. So if you are part of this crises of connection, I want to talk today about how you can do some repair and how you can be more connected. The first thing, obviously, is to realize that you need more connection. And I bet you there's not a one of us on this meeting, and whoever hears this wouldn't say we would benefit from either more connection or better connections. So if that's the case, how do we go about doing that? Well, first of all, we recognize our need to be connected. We admit to ourselves that we are social creatures, and that we do need to connect, and that our lives would be better if we would spend more time connecting. Once we identify that, once we become honest about that, then begin to look for ways to connect. Now, it may very well be that you say, yeah, I really want to be connected. And you look at someone who has a good life and does seem to be connected and is living a life according to what they want their lives to be, and they're successful in all areas, and maybe balanced, and they have good friendships and good family relationships, and you think, well, I want to connect with that person because they got it figured out, they're doing it right. It's probably the case that, first of all, let me say, when it comes to that, that's not an accident. That doesn't just happen. If you see someone like that, you are going to find that over a very long time, they have invested, they have worked on a lifestyle that is conducive to connection. I have people often, writers, would-be writers, reach out to me to say, how can I become a bestseller? How can I make a living being a writer? How can I, like I have some secret that I can tell them. I have some magic formula, and if you'll just do this, this, and this, then you can be successful as a writer. And the truth is, there is no secret. It's the same as any other endeavor. You work your ass off. You invest and invest and invest, and you go through lean years where nobody's reading your work. You just get better and better and better because you're investing, because you're working, because you are, in the case of writing, you are reading and studying and learning, and then you're practicing. Again, that word practicing, you're practicing your craft. That's true of writing. And like I say, that's what I do, and what most people reach out to me about help with. Although I get with self-help, with teaching, with ministering, with just watching my, say, interaction with my family or loved ones or friends, I have people reach out in that way and say, how can I get more friends? Or how can I have what you have, is what they're asking. And there is no secret It is investment. It is work. It is taking an active role in our lives and being aware of what we really want and what we really need and going after that. It is also being something valuable for others. There's a scripture that says, he who would have friends must show himself friendly. You know what the secret to having friends is? Being a friend, being a good friend, reaching out. And again, you can reach out to people who are busy and have a lot going on, and you like what they're doing, and you like the quality of the relationships they have. But why not reach out to someone who seems more isolated, more lonely, who would benefit greatly from you reaching out? And so it wouldn't just benefit you, it would benefit them as well. I know a lot of people, and we probably have all been guilty of this at one time or another, who are waiting for something to happen. I am waiting for my book to become a bestseller. I am waiting for my spouse to come along. I am waiting to achieve this or that. I'm waiting to have good quality friendships. And we really do deceive ourselves into thinking that all we have to do is just wish for it, wish and wait. Now, I'm not saying that we can force things to happen, but we should be active. And if you want more connection, you have to put yourself out there to connect more. And again, you think, oh, I want this person, this celebrity, this expert, this successful whatever. That's who I want to be my friend. Look at who's around you. Look in your neighborhood, look in your community, look in your areas of interest. Who should you be connecting with more than people who are interested in the same things you are? And in those groups, you will find lonely people aching to connect. And I promise you that that ache and yearning they have to connect is similar to the one you had. And if you'll reach out and open up, and guess what? If you do that and you're rejected, what do you need to do? Continue to be open, continue to reach out. There are those that have built a prison around themselves and just can't even fathom connecting, because connecting requires vulnerability. Connecting requires the admission that you need another, that you need others, and you want to connect and you need to connect. So if they're not ready, fine. Don't give up. Move to the next person. Reach out, reach out, reach out. Be present. Now, you can go to a social situation or out in public, to a park, to a restaurant, to whatever, and you can stay on your phone the whole time. You can have your head buried there or in a book or whatever, and there's no opportunity for connection. How can someone even approach you? They can't even see you. You know, you're all, you know, like this or like this. Be present. If you want to connect, if you need to connect, be present. Do some of this. Make some eye contact. How often do you go out in public and avoid eye contact? How often are somebody's looking and you know, look away when they make eye contact with you? That's an important first step to connection. Be present, be open, make eye contact, and that is the beginning of connection. Now, I'm not saying leer. I'm not saying be creepy. I'm saying be present and open. I'm also not saying that don't kid yourself or fool yourself into thinking that the connection you want to have are just with people you find attractive, physically or otherwise. Again, going back to that, oh, there's something they have I want to connect with them. Connect with those who are in greater need of connection. The next one I would say is, if you really want to connect with others, you know what you need to do? Be interested in them. Be interested in what they're into, what they have going on. Care about what they care about. So many people who are in crises and really want connection are saying, hey, come here, care about what I care about, love me, help me, give to me. If we will start with reversing that and saying, how can I help you? How can I be interested in you? How can I connect with you? That's going to lead to, ultimately, we get what we need, which is true connection. But we can't just go out there and say, hey, world, here I am. Give me what I want. Give me what I need. Start with what others want, what they need, how their loneliness and isolation is killing them, and how you can help with that. And I just said how it's killing them. Studies show that by being really connected, again, spiritually connected with friends, with family, with loved ones, with a cause greater than ourselves, social, we actually heal faster. We heal faster mentally, emotionally, even physically. Our bodies do better when we're connected. This is such an important health issue in every way that it can be, that we can be healthy. I had a writer tell me that when he first started writing, and this was years and years ago, when he first started writing, he was really wanting to connect with other writers, other authors, as new writers often want to. And he said he reached out to writers all the way across the board. I mean, the spectrum of success, he reached out. So he reached out to some household names in his genre, and he reached out to some more obscure writers, but ones that he respected. And he had a background in IT and could do all kind of graphic design and computer work. And he reached out to them and asked if, free of charge, he could help them with their website, help them with their marketing, help them with their cover design, whatever it happened to be. All he did was offer to help for free. He did not ask them for anything. He offered something to them, free of charge, no strings. And he said he began to get connections like never before. And that eventually, when something came up and he did have something to ask them for, they were more than happy to help him with the things they could help him with, because he had been helping them with the things he could help them with. Seek to serve, seek to give, not to be served, not to be given to. And ironically, conversely, you are going to get what you need. It is in giving that we receive. Connect with people over what they're interested in. Connect with people over what you're interested in. Again, if you have a similar interest, that's a great way to connect. And a similar concern. Maybe you start a support group because there's certain things you're dealing with, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever. And you, rather than waiting for someone else to do it, you start something. You attempt something. And what if it fails? Then attempt something else. Keep on, and you will eventually connect. Connect with people over your vulnerabilities. The chink in our armor, the wound, as Rumi said, is the place where the light is able to get in. If we share our scars, if we share our open wounds, if we share our needs, if we're self-deprecating, if we're open, others can come in and we can have a real, genuine connection. If we don't do those things, if we are, everything is great, I'm fine. I don't need anything. There's no entry place. There's no place for people to connect with us. You can use humor. You can use anything. Just find what works for you and be open and connect. And as everything I'm saying relates to you taking initiative, you taking an action, you doing something, and not just to connect with others that are like you or similar to you, but even far more importantly, connecting to those who are different, connecting to those who have a different worldview and perspective and experiences, and connecting to those who are in need. All around you, there are people in crises. There are people who need to connect. And maybe, just maybe, your dance card is full when it comes to connections. Experts say we could really only have about 6 really connected, close relationships, friendships, and that's not a lot, but it's amazing how many people don't have that. If you're good, if you have 4 or 5, or maybe it is 6 really good friendships and connections, and they're meeting the needs you have and you're helping meet theirs, then rather than trying to get someone else that is similar to where you are, reach out to someone who's struggling, reach out to someone who's extra isolated, perhaps a young man that, who knows? I mean, you could prevent a mass shooting, you could prevent a suicide, you could prevent domestic violence, you could prevent so much harm and damage by reaching out to someone who is so in need and so hurting and so angry inside because they're not connected. What a way to make the world a better place. And you'll never know that what you did caused someone, not to harm themselves or others, but it could very well be that is the case. If you're going to be really present, then you're going to see far beyond, far beneath what the person is saying, what they're projecting, to what they really need, to what they're really saying, what they're really communicating, which might be different from what they're saying. Be open, be inquisitive, ask them about themselves. It's amazing how many people you get around and all they do is talk about themselves. All they do is give you their resume. There's certain people I'll bring up a topic of conversation or ask them about themselves or what they're into or whatever. And then you get this just barrage of all their accomplishments and all the stuff they're doing and all they have done. And we don't need to tell others. We don't need to give them our resume. We don't need to tell them how great and wonderful we are. We need to ask about them. We need to see what's going on with them if we're really going to connect. Listen carefully, observe, be open, and in our quality connections, we're going to make our lives better. We're going to make the lives of those around us, those who we are connecting with, better, and ultimately we'll make the world a better place. Reactions, responses, questions?
Michael, I admire Paula Poundstone, how easily she can start a conversation because she is so observant and always finds oddities to comment to anybody about. And there goes the conversation.
And that requires openness, awareness, observation. If you're all in your head and you're just thinking and concerned and worried, and you can never do what you're talking about. You have to see others. You have to hear. You have to be open.
It helps to remember names.
Absolutely. And some people are so good at that. Others have a struggle, and need techniques to be able to learn people's names.
It helps to be a good listener.
Yes.
Michael, thank you for the topic. COVID really, really did kind of put a legitimate fear out there and increase the disconnection. I was going to say I came across this in some kind of reading, and it's just stuck in my mind, and something that I'm trying to practice, and that's cultivate a listening heart. And I just like that idea, and I just like trying to keep that in my mind as I try to improve connections. So thank you for the topic. Really great. Good reminders.
I really like that term. A listening heart implies I'm not just listening at a surface level. I'm not just listening with my head. It's not just intellectual. When we talk about the heart, we're talking about empathy. We're talking about compassion. We're talking about caring. We're talking about the deeper part of who we are. If we're listening to others with the deepest parts of who we are, there is going to be connection. That's great. I like that.
You reminded me of the many young lads I've known over the years that have committed suicide.
When we are disconnected, we are more depressed. We are more likely to suffer from anxiety, from all sorts of mental illnesses, all sorts of emotional problems. I mentioned anger earlier, and the reason we have so many angry young men, and it's not just young men, but this disconnectedness allows for all the crazy conspiracy theories we see, all the connections to extremism. People are angry and they're looking for answers, and they want someone to tell them, what to think and how to feel, and what to do with all this anger, what to do with all this isolation and loneliness. And it's often directed towards some really negative, harmful things, harmful to themselves and others. And that's just because of the vulnerability, the position they're in, because they're so disconnected. And
But there's so much cliques and class system for young people.
Yes, and not just young people, but yeah. Anyone else? We have just about another minute left. One of the things the expert said this weekend, I was listening, was that it's amazing how many young men especially are not having sex. There's very few things that connect us to another person like sex does. Conversation, sharing a meal, sex. That's a connect, and they're not having sex. They're not connecting in any way. Playing a video game or doing something just on your phone or on your screen is not connection. So go out and connect. I hope to see you next week, and we'll have more connection then. If you need anything, please email me. Talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
You too. Bye, guys.
Thank you.